presentation Chris is going to give this evening is from the Interpretive Reading Advanced Manual, project number 5, the oratorical speech. The goals of the project are, first, to understand the structure of an effective speech, and second, to interpret and present a famous speech. The time for this presentation will be 10 to 12 minutes, and the title of his speech is FDR's first inaugural speech to rally the nation to overcome the Depression. The Great Depression from 1929 to 1939 started shortly after the October 1929 Wall Street crash on Black Tuesday, when millions of investors were wiped out and the market dropped 23%. The market continued to decline afterwards. Consumer spending, investing, and industrial output plummeted. After coming into office in March of 1929, President Herbert Hoover presided over the first 4 years of the Depression, telling the nation the crisis would run its course and the government should not intervene. His primary efforts were to aid the failing banks, which were not insured at the time. This had been common practice during other economic downturns dating back into the 1890s. However, his minimalist efforts were too little, too late. During that time, unemployment rose from 3% to 24%. Unemployment peaked in 1933 at 25%. Impoverished, unemployed families often lost their homes, farms, and jobs. Added to that perfect storm of economic and employment issues was the Dust Bowl of the early 1930s that destroyed much of the farming industry in the Midwest, the breadbasket of America. Many people lived in Hooverville shantytowns and often stayed home, ashamed of their poverty. They frequently had no income to buy food, much less pay mortgages. The Depression was also a time for hobos, labor marches, and hunger marches. In 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt ran on a platform of relief, recovery, and reform, proposing to extend his efforts as two-time governor of New York, confronting the Depression, to the entire United States. Upon winning the election in a landslide, he gave the following inaugural speech.
President Hoover, Mr. Chief Justice, my friends, this is a day of national consecration. I am certain that on this day, my fellow Americans expect that on my induction into the presidency, I will address them with a candor and a decision which the present situation of our people impels. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly. Nor need we shrink from honestly facing conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive, and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. In every dark hour of our national life, a leadership of frankness and of vigor has met with that understanding and support of the people themselves, which is essential to victory. And I am convinced that you will again give that support to leadership in these critical days. In such a spirit on my part and on yours, we face our common difficulties. They concern, thank God, only material things. Values have shrunk to fantastic levels. Taxes have risen. Our ability to pay has fallen. Government of all kinds is faced by serious curtailment of income. The means of exchange are frozen in the currents of trade. The withered leaves of industrial enterprise lie on every side. Farmers find no markets for their produce, and the savings of many years into thousands of families are gone. More importantly, a host of unemployed citizens face the grim problem of existence, and an equally great number toil with little return. Only a foolish optimist can deny the dark realities of the moment. And yet our distress comes from no failure of substance. We are stricken by no plague of locusts. Compared with the perils which our forefathers conquered, because they believed and were not afraid, we have still much to be thankful for. Nature still offers her bounty, and human efforts have multiplied them. Plenty is at our doorstep, but a generous use of it languishes in the very sight of the supply. Primarily, this is because of the exchange of mankind's goods have failed. Through their own stubbornness and their own incompetence, have admitted their failure and have abdicated. Practices of the unscrupulous money changers stand indicted in the court of public opinion, rejected by the hearts and minds of men. True, they have tried, but their efforts have been cast in the pattern of an outworn tradition. Faced by failure of credit, they have produced only the lending of more money. Stripped of the lure of profit by which to induce our people to follow their false leadership, they have resorted to exhortations, pleading tearfully for restored confidence. They only know the rules of a generation of self-seekers. They have no vision, and where there is no vision, the people perish. Yes, the money changers have fled from their high seats in the temple of our civilization. We may now restore that temple. The measure of that restoration lies in the extent to which we apply social values, more noble than mere monetary profit. Happiness lies not in the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement, the thrill of creative effort. The joy, the moral stimulation of work no longer must be forgotten in the mad chase of evanescent profits. These dark days, my friends, will be worth all they cost us if they teach us that our true destiny is not to be ministered unto, but to minister to others, to our fellow men. Recognition of that falsity of material wealth as a standard of success goes hand in hand with the abandonment of the false belief that public office and high political position are to be valued only by the standards of pride of place and personal profit. And there must be an end to a conduct in banking and in business which too often has given to us a sacred trust, the likeness of callous and selfish wrongdoing. Small wonder that confidence languishes, for it thrives only on honesty, on honor, on the sacredness of obligations, on faithful protection, and on unselfish performance. Without them, it cannot live. Restoration calls, however, not for changes in ethics alone. This nation is asking for action, and action now. Our greatest task is to put people to work. This is no unsolvable problem if we face it wisely and courageously. It can be accomplished in part by direct recruiting by the government itself, treating the task as we would treat the emergency of war, but at the same time, through this employment, accomplishing greatly needed projects to stimulate and reorganize the use of our great natural resources. Hand in hand with that, we must recognize the overbalance of population in our industrial centers. Yes, the task can be helped by definite efforts to raise the values of agricultural products and with the power to purchase the output of our cities. It can be helped by preventing realistically the tragedy of the growing loss through foreclosure of our small homes and our farms. It can be helped by insistence that the federal, the state, and the local governments act forthwith on the demand that their costs be drastically reduced. It can be helped by unifying of relief efforts, which today are often scattered, uneconomical, unequal. It can be helped by national planning for and supervision of all forms of transportation and of communication and other utilities that have definitely a public character. There are ways in which it can be helped, but it can never be helped by merely talking about it. In this dedication of a nation, we humbly ask the blessing of God. May He protect each and every one of us. May He guide me in the days to come. In verity, that is my consecration, Madam Toastmaster.
A powerful delivery, Chris. Thank you.